Mr. Jack McConnell, thank you very much for joining us at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy. It's a deep honor to have you here. I've been
Thank you.
listening to your speech, and I was looking forward to ask you some couple of questions. And I think that it's a good opportunity also for us, the students, to hear your opinion. So I will start with the first question, of course, if
Okay.
you are willing to,
Yes.
to answer. So during your ministerial career, how have you helped to boost the trans-international relations?
Ooh. Well, I did a lot of international relations when I was First Minister, but also before that, I was Minister for European Affairs. So in Scotland, we had a parliament that was new for the first time, and we wanted to build good relationships with similar parliaments elsewhere, small countries and also regional parliaments in the federal states as well. So we had a very strong relationship with Bavaria, with some of the other German Länder, with Salzburg in Austria, with Flanders, Catalonia, and all these different levels of government. So that was at one level. And then when I became First Minister, we had a chance not only to promote Scotland internationally, which was important, to get investment and jobs in Scotland,
Of course.
but also to give something back as well. And probably the best example of something that was slightly different that we did was we built a one-to-one relationship with Malawi in Southern Africa, where there was a bit of a Scottish history because of an explorer called David Livingstone, who is a bit of a hero in Malawi because he helped end slavery there. And we renewed that old friendship, and now we have today thousands of Scottish people and people from Malawi working together, sharing experience, training together, and helping Malawi in particular to grow and develop. So, as an example of what a small country can do to make a difference somewhere, then I think it's a good example of the Scotland-Malawi partnership.
My next question would be regarding the cultural diplomacy. I was thinking, what do you think that is the role? What the cultural diplomacy means in building the peace relations for human rights advocacy, for example? I believe that human rights are really, really important as a human being.
Well, I think that the only really sustainable peace is one that's built properly on understanding, on reconciliation, and on development. And I think that if cultural diplomacy means anything, it surely means a better understanding of other cultures and a celebration of diversity instead of a fear of diversity. And I think, therefore, that cultural diplomacy, the promotion of other cultures and the understanding of other cultures is absolutely fundamental to bridging some of the gaps that exist in our world between the rich world and the poor world, but also ensuring that in countries or in regions where there is historic conflict, that we can help bring those conflicts to an end. I think understanding celebration of diversity is key to that, and along with economic and social development.
Can you give us, for example, an instance as far as Scotland is concerned and regarding its efforts to improve the human rights?
Well, there are lots of organisations in Scotland that are working in this field, and as part of the UK, Scotland makes a contribution to the UK's efforts in the UN and elsewhere to promote human rights. But we've also, I think, had some involvement in very close to home in trying to bring conflict to an end. In Northern Ireland, for example, where there was a conflict for 30 years that was based in deep historical mistrust, and people from Scotland have helped the process there to build a greater understanding between the communities, to help encourage a level of government that everybody can be part of and feel involved with in. So I think both at home and further afield, Scots have made a big contribution to promoting human rights, reconciliation and development as well.
So, how can you give me explanation and how can you inspire the young generation to utilize the cultural diplomacy to strengthen the cross-continental cooperation?
Oh, you guys are an example of that.
Thank you.
Well,
I wish.
this is what we need. We need events like this that bring young people together from all over the world.
Yeah.
The reason I come to ICD is to contribute to these events because the audience is so international.
Yeah. You're right.
That it's a great chance for people who would never meet each other normally to do so. And I think increasingly we live in a world where young people will move around the globe, not just for holidays like my generation, but actually for work and for study, socialising, but also communicate with people from elsewhere in the world on a day-to-day basis through social media and so on. And I think promoting that communication dialogue is key to the long-term prospects for peace. That and in a world where people fear the unknown, and that then leads to conflict. If you can break down that fear of the unknown by dialogue, understanding, people meeting each other, sharing ideas, questioning each other's assumptions, then it can only be healthy for everybody. So I'm very keen that young people are involved in that, and it's one of the reasons I like to come to ICB.
Oh, that's good. And with regards to the future, what the leaders of the world need to uphold human rights and maintain strong international relations?
Well, I think there's a real role for leaders in all of this, obviously, and I think far too often they let us down. So I think it's really important that the young people who are here, and yourselves, pressurise leaders to live up to expectations and to keep the commitments that they make. Too often in the past we've seen treaties agreed or statements, declarations made that have not been followed through. And sometimes that has been between the rich world and the poor world, sometimes in relation to ending conflict, and also sometimes in relation to human rights. And it is frankly absolutely shocking that 65 years on from the agreement of the UN Convention on Human Rights, which was the 10th of December 1948, so many people in the world today still don't have access to basic human rights. And I think the international community needs to take that more seriously and be very strong in insisting that the kind of behaviours that we see, whether it's corruption or it's dictatorships or it's violence, insecurity, instability, that these things are unacceptable in the 21st century. We should be able to have a much better world today than we had in previous centuries because of the access to knowledge and resources that we have today. And it is time for leaders across the world to take that stand and not just be short term, but be long term in the vision.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
much.
Thank you.
It was a
Thank
deeply
you.
honor to
Good to
have
talk
you
to you.
here.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you both.